how was the rest of your Mexico trip? Did you have the threesome you guys wanted?
Oh, what? No.
Te voy a extrañar mucho. ¿Me escuchaste?
This is our first trip without the little guy. This is a special occasion.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun.
Relax, exhale deeply. I've been waiting for you.
You can at least ask if I wanted to.
Would you have wanted to?
I was so sure he wasn't the one that I was just totally myself. That's beautiful. It was.
Past tense?
People always congratulate you when you've been together for like a really long time, but that doesn't mean that you've been like happily together.
You have this incredible energy.
Like mom energy?
I'm sure you used to be crazy. You have crazy eyes.
I mean, I like to have sex with other people.
So have you always been attracted to women?
I mean, now that you're asking, maybe yeah, I've just never really done anything about it.
We should go out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Mass Swingers podcast. We're excited to have our guest today because this episode is crazy unique. This couple has made a film about the journey of one couple stepping into non-monogamy for the first time. Like, remember the time that you had your first threesome? This is that story in the wild, right? So we're honored to have them today. They're both the writer of the film, the producer of the film, the lead actress in the film. They're all represented here today. And some things about this movie. So it's called You, Me, and Her. And it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. And it's won over 13 awards. I want to read off a couple of them just so you know. So it was Best Romantic Comedy at the Los Angeles Film Awards, Best Picture at the Mexican American Film Festival. And we've watched it. Layla and I have both watched it already. So we have a lot to talk about today. We want to hop right in. Thank you both, Selina and Dan, for being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
I hope I didn't butcher your film intro.
That was awesome.
He's been practicing for a week.
I've been practicing.
That was good.
Great. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I told you about the podcast last week and you're like, I want to be on it. This is great. And first and foremost, Layla's burning question was, you made a film about a couple stepping into non-monogamy. Are you yourself a non-monogamous couple?
So that's a good question. We have not fulfilled the whole story is based on a true story. I'll tell you the true story to answer your question. So we went to Vegas on a trip, and I had never really thought of myself as bisexual, to be honest. I've always found women very beautiful, but on this trip, this very beautiful woman actually hit on me and was like very intense about wanting to kiss me. And I felt like, oh my God. Yeah, I kind of really I want to kiss her, which is like, I had never gone out searching for that. I was just living my life. I'm married. Like, we've been together for 12 years. You know what I'm saying? And I've had this thought like, oh, that's a beautiful woman. But like, I've never really, but because she was actually very like sexually engaging with me, I had this realization that I was also curious about her. And it came up for me. I was like, Dan, is it okay if I kiss her? And he was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. And I was like, okay. And so then I did. And it was like this very beautiful kiss. And then she was like, I'd really love to get your phone number and I'd love to see you later tonight. And I was like, oh, okay. I had not been in that situation, ever. So then I was like, well, Dan, can I give her my phone number? And he was like, yeah, of course. So then what ended up happening was this woman literally ghosted me. So, which is funny because she was at a bachelorette party, and I think she really liked me. I really felt it. So, like,
There was a vibe.
There was a vibe. I know it wasn't being crazy, but anyway, long story short, I felt like all of a sudden, like I was in high school again. Like I was checking my phone all the time, and I was like, "Is she texting me?" Like, and we started to engage in this like very in-depth conversation about what it would look like and what we would do and what was on the table and what wasn't on the table and what's okay. And I mean, like, the rest of our Vegas trip was a conversation about
the fantasy,
what this was going to look like, and the fantasy, and it opened all of these doors for me.
And then the drive back was like outlining the movie.
Well, because on the drive back, we were like, wait a minute, there's something here, because the fact that this has opened up so much for us, and we were like laughing together and having fun. We were having very sexy sex, and it was like, you know, it was like, everything was like, whoa, this is so fun. And then we were like, there's like a movie in this. So we started outlining it on the way back. This woman never texted me.
I hope she sees this right now.
I think about you all the time.
We will target her.
Miss you. We love you.
You know who you are. Anyway, I don't even remember her name. But yeah, I'm grateful to her because a lot of stuff opened up for me that was really interesting, and this experience has been amazing. But long story short, we kind of said, you know, this is now something that's been like on the table for us as a fantasy that we've both had, now we've had all these conversations about, but we've also, you know, we do have kids and it is complicated and there's a lot of parameters for me. I think everyone has to figure out what the parameters are for them. Mine are a little particular because, you know, I haven't really done anything like this before. And so I think I just need to feel really safe and it needs to feel really right. Mm. And so that hasn't happened yet, but that doesn't mean that, you know, it's like, it's something I think we're both excited to explore and we're just looking for the right time and moment where it feels good for both of us.
I understand that completely. Also, what are you guys doing after this? Brian's like, stop, Layla. Seriously, stop hitting on the gas.
I'm about to open a button.
I can completely relate to, because that's how my husband and I started off, is we were creating fantasies and just talking about the fantasies, and that would just like, the sex was amazing. Yeah. After that, and almost kind of rekindled like a spark in our sexual relationship. So we did that for a couple years, right? Until we got on the apps like Candid or Field, and we were getting on the apps, and for me, I wanted a pretend boyfriend. Yeah. I didn't really know what polyamory was. I thought polyamory was like polygamy, which it's not. And so that's what I thought it was. And then I found this guy, I dated him, and then my husband dated my boyfriend's girlfriend, and we ended up like all being in this relationship, and it was totally accidental. But yeah, that's how we kind of got started. But like the fantasy of like, my husband would be fucking me, and I'm like, tell me about a time you fucked another girl. And so like we would do that, and eventually I'm like, we're running out of stories. We need new stories. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. So how long ago was this Vegas thing?
Like a year and a half.
Oh, this is so recent.
Yeah.
So I think Vegas, I think landing in Vegas is like 3 shots of vodka, just breathing the air. Because like people are all of a sudden down to just do crazy. Yeah. My first threesome was in Vegas too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like with my wife. That was the first time we played, was in Vegas. Met them in the wild. Like you met this person in the wild. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Meeting people in the wild happens in Vegas like nowhere else in the world. For sure. But like, and I don't want to give any spoilers. So no spoilers in this episode. We're going to
try to be vague, which is so hard.
But you capture this so well in the film, like that the excitement of even doing it made the sex hotter between the couple. Exactly. Between the couple. And that is exactly how it works. Like if you're willing to have the conversation in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Which I think that's one of the key things, right? Is like, it's the openness in being able to have the conversation. Because I think a lot of couples might have these fantasies on their own, but feel too scared to communicate it with their couple. And then that's where I think a lot of cheating and lying starts happening. Whereas like, to me, it's so different to be honest with the person you're with and say, here's something I'm fantasizing about. Does that excite you? What does that look like? Granted, like, you know, like I said, I'm still like, because my parameters are so specific at this point, you know what I mean? It's like, and I'm sure like for him, he'd do this with anyone. Like, you know, he's excited. He'd be like, barista done. Like, it's done. Like, whatever you're ready, I'm ready. But like, I need to be able to go at my pace and what feels good to me, or it's not going to work. And the fact that he can respect that, we can talk about that,
And that's what's really interesting about this in the movie thematically is it's about honesty. And so it's about being honest with yourself about what you're feeling and being honest with your partner. And that's on so many levels because they're not seeing each other that way. Yeah. And they see each other through this experience.
Well, they're not in good communication, right? So at the beginning of the film, they're not in good communication. They're not speaking honestly. There's a lot of stuff that they're hiding, that they're kind of keeping to themselves, which I think is the biggest piece of how relationships start to fail, because there's so much going on in life and it's really easy to stop communicating and to start kind of keeping things to yourself and start resenting things. But then that's where kind of like things can drop off. So that's why this whole world to me is so interesting. It's like this openness.
Right. And of course, when you're open and vulnerable, like the sex is hotter.
Yeah.
Because you want to, man, like when my wife cries, we have the hottest sex afterwards.
Vulnerability is sexy.
So one of my, again, I don't want to do any spoilers, but one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the main actor, what's his name in the movie again?
Ritesh or Ash? Ash. Yeah.
When Ash like figures out what's going on, there's like a moment where he's like, oh, like he's like, aha. And I was like, he's always behind. Us guys are always a little slow. Yeah. But I was like, I bet every guy can, like, who's had a threesome remembers that moment for them. Like, oh, today's the day. And
then how you have to navigate from that moment to try and get to something. Exactly. It's sort of where the story hinges in like a plot point kind of way.
And every decision he had to make, like I had this thing. Oh, wait. Oh, this and that, like wine. like every decision he had to go through.
I love the awkwardness of like the whole film where it's just like this awkward tension where it's like, what is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? The little nuances, you know, but like I can totally relate to that. And what's funny is like you guys, the main couple, they're being so awkward when they could just be more transparent and they're making it more uncomfortable than they need to be. But we could all relate to that.
But I think it's because they're uncomfortable. And I think what's so interesting to me, and this is something we talked about a lot, because it's like, you know, every person is different. But to me, like, I think one of the biggest things about this whole experience and what it would look like for me to go through with it is really Dan not pushing it at all. Right. So like if he started to get really pushy about it, if he started to be like, how about that girl? How about that girl? I would be like, okay, I'm shutting this down right now. Right. For me, because to me, it's like, I'm curious. This is about me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to explore me. I'm so glad that he can be on this journey with me, but he needs to give me the space to do it like at my pace and to kind of like give me permission without making me feel like I'm not good enough on my own. Like, cause that's what I'll start to feel like if he starts getting too, do you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting because it's like, I think in the film, we play a little bit with this, like, he's so excited, but he can't like be too excited. I know, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like,
he's like, whatever you want, babe, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's like it's all on you, you know, it's all on you. And it's like playing with this idea of like, and I understand, like, cause it's a fantasy, you know, and everyone has different fantasies, but it's like, how do you play into the fantasy and get what you want, but also give the person you love what they need so that it can actually happen? Because if not, you're kind of getting, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuances.
There's such a truth to that too. Like I get where you're coming from looking at you, because really my wife can bring home whoever. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's run it. But I get to be really careful when I think about who I'm going to bring home. Present to her, Like that's a meme in itself.
So what I wanted to ask is, why do you think this would be like, why is this a good time for the film?
Well, I think this world is expanding a lot, and it's really in the zeitgeist. I think people are being a lot more open in their communication. There's a lot more couples talking about how they're exploring in all sorts of different ways. There was an article in the New Yorker. There was an article in the New York Times. There was an article. I mean, and it's interesting because we weren't aware of, like, all these articles came out as we were already finished with the movie and we were in the festival circuit. But it's like, it seems like it's something we're all trying to express ourselves more and be more in communication about. And I think it's with everything, and it can be really positive. Like, you know, I had a miscarriage, for example. That's something we're all starting to talk about. Like, we didn't used to talk about these things. So there's so much that I think has been existing for a very long time. But now, because of social media and because of internet and because it's like we can all find each other and connect over it and start a conversation about it and do a podcast about it.
And seeing how everyone relates to these things. Like when we were talking to couples, a lot of people related to it as well. And then also like, I mean, it's just like coming back to the honesty thing. It's like human urges. And so it's just like expressing how people actually feel and then talking about that and being honest about relationships and exploring it, you know?
Yeah. So when you think about the film, because it really does cover the awkwardness and we're trying to go through this for the first time, but for a new couple that's thinking about doing this out there in the world, what did you really want them to take away from the film? Walking out of the theater or walking out of the screening, what did you want them to take into their relationship?
I mean, for me, what I really wanted them to take in was this idea of honesty and curiosity. I think like part of what we explore in the movie too, it's not all just like happy and good and fun and easy. Like, I think there's a lot of fun in the film and there's a lot of what that is, but it's also complicated because it is. And life is complicated. And I think that it's like, you know, in to some degree, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like some things didn't work out the way they thought they did and others did, and better, but it depends on for who. And you know what I'm saying? And I think that kind of piece is the reality of sometimes getting involved in this way. But I also think that if you start to open up with your partner about your needs, you're much more likely to have a deep relationship with them, whatever that means, whether it's in a sexual way or not. And I think that that's really important to a good marriage and to a good partnership. What I really wanted people to walk away with is like, however we start to figure out what we need, the more we can be really in touch with our partner and be honest and vocal and vulnerable, you know, because it takes being vulnerable to tell someone what your fantasy is or do you know what I'm saying? And I think that that's really important. And granted, the movie doesn't end on like everything has been resolved because we don't feel like life is that way. You don't just resolve things. Life continues and it's still messy and complicated because that's what life is. But there's a little more curiosity and a little more openness between two people that really needed that.
Yeah, I think when the movie ended, we're like, is that where it ends?
Yeah, we were ready for the second one. We were like, when's the next movie?
Yeah, exactly. And we also thought like so you did choose a female as I don't know the antagonist or the protagonist. I don't know what she is, but she is the person who steps in. I was just curious, like it sounds like it's somewhat based on your experience in Vegas, which was with a female. Yeah. Was there any point at which you considered a male being the third person that is being sought after?
No, I don't think well, first of all, it was obviously based on a personal story. Second of all, I think had it been a male in real life, it would have just been a no.
Well, I asked you, would that have been a no for you?
Yeah, I think so. I just think like also when you look at a film like this, there's lots of like sex comedies that play on these tropes of how it works. And, you know, I am a heterosexual male. And so that is a fantasy that plays into heterosexual male fantasies. And so we wanted to explore that, but what it really means when you're in a monogamous relationship, you know? And so like, that's interesting, but that was what our truth was. So we just explored it that way.
Yeah, that's always an interesting thing for us. Yeah. We've talked about this a lot on the podcast because we do know some couples that will only play with single men. But they're interesting. Right. But they love it and they think it's better. By the way, for a number of reasons. It's like, we call it a pole to hole ratio.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Explain that. I'm curious.
Getting worshipped by two men at the same time. My husband is also straight, but if we have, cause we have some combat partners that kind of come in and out and they're like really good friends, right? So it's like an experience that they're sharing as a friend on a friend level. And then they're both worshiping me and taking care of me and I'm center of attention, you know, and like one cock in my mouth, one cock in my vagina. And it's just kind of this fun dynamic. And it's like a friendly, they're not playing together or anything like that. And it's this fun, friendly dynamic and things like that. But you're right. I think a lot of couples start off, it's easier to dive digest. I think.
I think it's very different. There's
with women.
testosterone and jealousy that comes into that version that comes more at play, I think. And so that's another factor that would be another layer to it that would make it more complex.
So may I ask if you're willing to get vulnerable here? So if you are
ready for some blushing, here we go.
You ready? Turn red. Okay, so you would be jealous if Selina y'all were to have a threesome with a man.
Yeah.
But not a woman.
No.
Why?
Because of feminine and because she doesn't have a penis. So then it's actually there's a direct correlation with performance that's comparative. That would make me feel more insecure.
Oh, so it's performance anxiety.
So performance and seeing that, and it's just like that is someone other than me that isn't like instead of. Where this is a whole different kind of relationship inside of her that she can explore.
Got it.
So that's where it's just a whole different dynamic.
Because her with women is a new kind of experience that you guys can share together. Whereas if it's a man, she's had sex with other men in her life. So it's not quite
it's not the
same kind of fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. And feminine energy is just different from male energy. So
100%.
Okay, what's today? All right, we're in a year and a half. I want to bring you back on the show, and I want to see if you feel the same way. I want to see.
Everybody starts like this.
Everyone starts like this.
Everybody starts like
Everyone starts like this. And here, a lot of guys don't get past this point.
Yeah,
and they're like, I know I can't handle two dicks in the room. But the guys who do and get past that point, they're like, oh, that was way better.
What? Oh yeah,
way more fun.
Once you do it, you'll be fine.
Hot.
You'll be fine.
It's like, I'm
you might even think it's
I'm
hot.
not sweating.
Yeah.
Less work on my part. There's so many reasons, but we're gonna revisit it. But I was like,
I love that. Less work on my part.
So.
I want to talk about distribution. So you guys have been doing the film circuits. You guys are winning lots of awards. You guys have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Congrats on that. Because Rotten Tomatoes is they're pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some great movies and they're like 2%.
I know.
So 100% is a big deal. So, with distribution, where are you guys? Like, I know you're talking to some people.
So what we're doing, basically where we're at right now is we have basically the film industry is in like a kind of a strange place right now.
On fire.
Oh no.
We've had some offers that we didn't love. But basically where we're at now is we've decided that we're going to go with this movie out theatrically. But what we're going to do, which is a little different and interesting, which I'm really excited about, is that we're actually going to partner with a bunch of different brands that are authentically integrated into the movie. So we have an incredible mezcal company. We have an incredible tequila company. We have the Pleasure Chest, which is a beautiful adult toy store. Pleasure Med, which is a beautiful cannabis consumption lounge. We're talking to you guys.
Yeah, you are talking to us.
And basically the idea would be that, and we've also partnered with some hotels in Sayulita and San Pancho and Bucerias.
For some special surprises.
Ooh. And, it's called Hotel Usuri and Casa Selva. But basically the idea will be that instead of just paying a ticket to go see a movie, you'll be paying a ticket to go see a movie and get invited to an event and have a couple of surprises that makes it more of like an interactive experience. Because we feel like it's so hard to get people into movie theaters these days. And so what we want is to like reinvent what that would feel like. And our movie's so fun. And it's, I think, something that whether you've had an experience like you or you haven't had one at all, it's easy to relate from both ends because it's just like the beginning of what it would look like to enter this space. And I think that even if you've never had the conversation, you've thought about it. You know what I'm saying? So like even someone who's been in a married couple for 15 years and they've never even looked at each other and said one word, I'm sure they've had a thought
for sure
in a moment about what it would look like to, and so then there's like something really fun about that just being opened up to you and for you to get to experience that and then have a conversation about it post movie.
Spark a dialogue about it.
Spark a dialogue.
Yeah.
So,
and have an event after.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, we do now have a US distributor that we are going to be signing with, but the idea is that with all this stuff we're doing, we want to really raise more awareness of the film and the conversation behind the film so that it's really more of like a push in the perception of everything we're doing so that it's not just, we sold it to a platform and now how do you find it?
And our last film streaming on Max.
Yeah, we have our last movie is streaming on HBO Max.
And what's the name of that movie?
It's called Single Mother by Choice.
Okay. Oh, right.
And
I looked into that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we love telling real personal stories. So lots of therapy over here. But, our last movie, we actually filmed once a month throughout my entire real pregnancy.
Oh, damn.
During the height of the pandemic.
Wow.
And if you want to watch it, you will see me have a child in real time.
Holy cow.
So if you're ready for
But it's a fictional story. So it's like a fictional.
So we
narrative.
But it's fictional in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so what was real was, so I knew I was ready to get pregnant, and we decided we were kind of like Boyhood. We were going to film once a month throughout my real pregnancy. So the first thing that happened was that I actually had a miscarriage, which was awful, totally unexpected. And we were already filming. So it was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So then we had to stop that. I had to go through that, then start again, start trying again. And we basically said, we're going to wait 3 months until I'm officially pregnant before we start again. Cause I can't go through this again. So anyway, we start filming the pre-pregnancy stuff. And I'm already pregnant, which was amazing. But it was also okay, here we go again.
Right.
No time to. So, and then 3 months into my second pregnancy, global fucking pandemic. Mm-hmm. The whole world shuts down. Mm-hmm. It was an indie movie, but we had a 30-person crew. I can't work with a crew anymore because this is the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
We're not, this isn't, let's see what happened. Everyone's dying. It was really at that time, because now it feels different, but it was there was no vaccine. I couldn't be near anyone. Yeah. So then all of a sudden Dan decides he's going to buy the camera. He's going to learn how to use it on a Zoom with the cinematographer. And we
just kept shooting.
So that's how you started filming? You personally? Or were you into it before
I
then?
started with skateboard videos.
Oh, got it.
My film journey is both just on my family side, we're actors and creative people. And then on my friend's side was just skateboarding and making skate videos and getting into trouble doing that. And then that sort of came together, editing and making movies.
Oh my God.
Man, we have so many questions. All right. I want to come back to your film because I have this burning question. You've made films before. You have one on Max right now. You've been doing this for a long time, right? And then, so you make this film about this non-monogamous experience this couple's trying to have. And part of the burning question I had was there's so much content going on Netflix now that's swinger paradise or this other stuff where if it's more the more unhealthy it is, the more raunchy it is, all of a sudden it gets picked up. Is there any part of this where you feel your film wasn't raunchy or stereotypical enough and that's why they haven't picked it up faster? I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
You gotta go ahead.
No, I think honestly, well, first of all, like I said, because I just want to be clear. It's not that no one's picked it up. We've had some offers. We just want to make sure that we're giving this movie what it deserves. Which is why we have had offers. It's just I know this movie deserves more, so I'm going to hold out.
Awesome.
But to answer your question though, I do think that you can go for the tropes if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with that. We go for the personal experience. So every movie we've made 3 feature films, have all been incredibly personal. And I think that there's something really cool about that raw honesty. And if I wanted to go there, then that wouldn't be my story to tell because that's not where I'm at. So to me, this is the story we went through. This is what we need to say. And this is where we are going to connect with the right people who are going through this too. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if it's not honest to me, then I stop being able to be the spokesperson for it because then I can't connect to what I'm saying anymore. Yeah. So I have to be as honest as I actually am to my truth.
And just the process of making an indie film like this is a major, major mountain to climb. Yeah. And so you have to just really care about it and be completely passionate about what you're saying. So if you're approaching it from the back end of how are we going to appeal to the market? Right. Then that's just your heart's not in it in the same way.
Got it. That makes sense. And I totally respect that. And you can see that in the film. It's just something I was curious about because it's not like we like those other shows that come out. We cringe when we see them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're making fun of a lifestyle that they're not a part of. Right? Or they're grabbing couples that are unhealthy going into the situation.
Yeah.
So then it looks like a disaster.
Well, I think that speaks to one other thing where I think there's right now a disconnect with what's on TV and what audiences actually want to see. Like, what I really love is the indie films that I would see in the theater that capture the zeitgeist of what's going on right now. And they're like R-rated comedies. I think people are scared of making R-rated comedies right now.
Yeah.
So we wanted to blend something that was a very personal story that had heartfelt drama, kind of like Scenes from a Marriage or something like that, with the R-rated comedies we love. So that's what, and then contextualize it in this world, you know?
But it's also very honest. Like if you see the movie, like there was, we just had a screening actually with the, big executive, but can't say who. But anyway, long story short though, you know, that person was like, I don't know if I like more the moments where I was laughing out loud or the moments where I felt like I was going to cry.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I love that both of those moments rung really true to me. And I think that's where it's like, you know, you can choose to just go all in comedy, or you can go, like, there's so many different ways to go. But to me, my life is both. And I think being true to that, and even in the moments that are dramatic, sometimes you laugh because you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then
We did some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some of it is the other way around. Sometimes it's like you're in the middle of laughing about something and you realize, oh my God, we're actually talking about something really serious right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's what a marriage feels like.
And that's what we really want to do, is tell really human stories and, you know, communicate our like personal ideas to people and see if people relate. And so that's what we're hoping. And they have. Yeah. So that's what we're hoping to do with this release and bring it out further, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they were definitely, I don't want to give anything away. I like, there's
And we can cut anything if we accidentally do.
We said,
because I have so many more questions, but they're all specific.
we said we do like a post thing here where we're like, we're going to cut this and then we're going to talk about some film specific
Some
stuff.
spoilers.
Yeah.
Because there was some, I mean, there's one part we were watching, you're at our house watching it, and I was like, oh no, like he's making a mistake. And I was like, don't do that. Oh my God. So there's these moments. It's when he wanted to grab a pill.
Yeah.
And I saw this, and I saw it, and I was like, no, not that one. I was like,
It was a big one.
yeah,
It was
no,
like, it was.
don't do that.
Yeah.
But we also left, and we were like, because we watched it together. My wife's there, and so we're big in the space, and we were like, man, we want a spinoff. We want like a spinoff film with the
other couple.
There is a swinger couple that pops up at some point in the film, and we're like, we want to know more about their life. Who are these people? Let's follow them for a month.
Yeah.
And then I do want to talk about the swinger couple in the beginning. And again, we can cut this if it is a spoiler or put it at the
it's
end.
all good.
Okay. So in the beginning, you guys have kind of like a swinger couple.
Yeah.
They're both married to other people. They're
Yeah.
together and they're kind of raunchy.
Yeah.
They're very non-consensual.
Yeah.
Right? So what inspired y'all to kind of put a non-consensual swinger couple in the beginning? Like why did you guys, what was your thought there?
Well, first of all, we actually, so again, we go very personal. So what's really funny is a couple years ago, before the Vegas thing, okay, we were actually hit on by a swinger couple. And what was really interesting about that experience is that we were so like, no. Granted, by the way, this swinger couple, okay, I hate to say this out loud, but we were not attracted to them.
Okay. That's fine.
That's part
We get
of,
that.
you know, okay.
That's part of it.
So, but this swinger couple came on, like, we didn't realize that they were swingers. So it started very casual, like, oh, let's grab dinner, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, let's grab dinner. And it's like, we're chatting, we're having a great time. And then it got like more and more intense. And as it was getting really intense, and then they took us to this strip club, and then apparently they go
It's like
there all
literally
the
what
time.
happened in the movie.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it was like, so literally we went through this experience and it was a funny experience to us in the sense that we had such a strong negative reaction because they came in so strong and they were so like, you know, not really respecting like our boundaries or, you know what I'm saying? And like the woman was kind of like grabbing at me and it was like not like she didn't have permission to. And like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like, I felt a little like, like kind of objectified, but it was so unexpected because it was kind of like this drunken night that just kind of like one
progression.
thing,
Right.
you know, but then we realized that you know, they're part of this community and they do this all the time. This kind of, you know, what they're about, which is fine. But then it was really interesting when we had this experience in Vegas that it was like, when we were writing the script, it was like, do you remember how negatively we were like because we were like, we would not do like any of the, you know, and I'm like, this was really not for us. And then all of a sudden in a different context where this woman was so like just open and soft and like very consensual. And she asked me like, can I kiss you? Like, it was so nice. I was like, oh yes, I would love that. Like, you know, and it was such a different experience. And so I thought, this is a really cool little like foreshadowing of like, you know, you kind of start to like see this thing. And then the other thing was, when we were shooting the movie initially, we had cast this swinger couple to look a certain way based on our personal experience. But then we were talking to a friend of ours who ended up being the couple because they're a real couple.
Oh, really?
Okay. So we were talking to them about it, and it was so funny because she is a really good friend of mine. She her name is Mariana Borelli, and she was like, well, what if they were like a super sexy young couple? Because initially they were going to be like an older couple that was like not,
like,
you know.
So from like the storytelling perspective, we thought it would be like, let's have someone who wants to bring them on a long arc so that they end up with this experience, but they're so far from it at the beginning and so opposed to it.
Yeah.
So we initially wanted to cast something that would just make it look so unattractive and unsexy.
And unsexy. And then it would be like, wait, how did they get there when they started here? But then when I was talking to my friend, and she was like, but wouldn't it kind of be cool and less obvious if it's actually a sexy young couple? And I was like, obviously she was pitching herself. But I was like, you know what? But I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me like sit on that for a second. And then we talked about it, and we were like, that's actually really interesting. And then the other part that was really funny was I was talking to another executive at the time that was looking at investing in the film. And I was chatting about this whole concept, and she was like, you know, it's so funny. I actually met some swingers not too long ago that like by the end of the night, it turned out they weren't even married to each other. They were married to other people. And I was like, that's brilliant. Because like for someone who's just coming into this space and has no sense of any of it, it's like, that's like the penultimate, like, you know, cause they're thinking they're this super in love couple, you know, and there's all these twists. And so we thought that'd be really fun.
I think that's such a good point because one, like who introduces you or like your first experience in the space really does determine like what you experience of it, right?
Yeah.
And you might meet a couple that's like 8 years in and they've gone through so much. So where they are now on the other end of the spectrum, you like can't even relate to them, right?
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. I'm also just thinking about like sometimes Layla and I will go out places and we're obviously married to different people.
Right. People will think we're together just because we're always like, you know, we're touchy-feely. Like, I love my friends. I'm touchy-feely and like whatever. And so people will think we're together and we're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
Exactly. All right. So thank you for explaining that because we were watching it and we're like, man, this couple, if someone showed up
they
like
were
that
driving
with our
us
friends,
crazy.
I was like, we would not invite them back.
No, they would not be invited back to any parties of ours.
Yeah. We care a lot about boundaries, but we thought they were, but we did think they were hot.
Yeah, they are.
They are hot.
They're a very beautiful couple. And that's why we thought it'd be fun.
The actors, Ritesh, they're best friends, actually.
Yeah, so what's really funny is it turns,
Ritesh
and Roberto are actually best friends from college.
Wow. And they were college roommates, so they had so much fun in that scene.
It's a small world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh, man. It reminded me, I went to Columbia once and ran into a couple. This was way before I was lifestyle. And I was with a partner at the time who was not lifestyle. And like, I remember them talking to me about it. And what's so funny is full circle. I messaged them on WhatsApp like a month ago because I had some friends in Arizona. I remember they lived in Arizona. So I messaged them. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I saw you at a pool one time in Columbia 5 years ago. Are you still into this? And he's like, oh yeah, hell yeah. Are you coming to Arizona? I was like, maybe that's like the full circle moment of coming back. And so I think about like your movie, like if there were 3 sequels of them going back to Mexico, seeing the same couple, and it's like, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up? Anyway,
well,
so
the other thing is also I think a TV show could be really
okay. That's
she said that too.
That's the first thing I said.
I think a TV show
and
would be great because
has such a vibrant community as well.
Well, it's something we thought about too because Puerto Vallarta, which and a lot of stuff that we have gone through has actually been there because my parents live there. I'm Mexican, and so but Puerto Vallarta is a very cool place for all of this because there's a lot of people exploring different stuff in Puerto Vallarta, and it's very open in terms of, you know, your sexuality and what your preferences and all of these things. So I feel like a show that takes place there where people are kind
With
of
similar
different in
characters, similar worlds, yeah.
parts of that journey and what that looks like and what that experience is could be really interesting.
100% agree. Cause like we're like, oh, we want to know what happens with that first swinger couple. And then what happens, you know, with the main characters. And then what happens with this, what happened to Angela? Did they ever talk to Angela again? Like, we had so many questions. And I was like, I need a show where I can watch this every week.
I love it.
So that would be great.
I love it.
Absolutely. All right. So you asked me at the start of this if you're having a screening in LA on August 22nd.
Yeah.
And so we'll include that in the show notes for anyone who wants to attend. And you asked me if I was going to go. And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And a big part of why I want to go is even though I've watched the film already, I want to see who's showing up to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there are going to be like new couples and singles that are like, man, I'm curious about this space. Someone made a movie about it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about meeting them in a space where they feel that they can be them. We always think it's more fun to party with people that are open-minded.
Yeah.
And probably watch a film with people that are open-minded. So that's a big reason I'm going. Before we let you go, is there anything, I mean, I just threw out your screening. Is there anything that you want to plug, like your socials or how people can find you and connect with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, at Selina Ringel, SelinaRingel. And on Yumi and her
movie. Yeah.
Yumi and her movie, also on Instagram. And this event is on Eventbrite. It's going to be at Pleasure Med. We have an incredible mezcal sponsor. We have a weed sponsor. We have a lot of surprises. We have an outdoor screening of the movie. It's going to be really an incredible special event. But also we're going to be going theatrically to a bunch of cities all over the US. And we're going to be on all TVOD platforms on February 14th for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
And so those will come in like January. The screenings will be like January.
Yeah, so the
February.
theatrical tour will be January through February. But if you follow the movie and follow me, we'll be obviously updating everyone with everything and with also all of our brand partners and all of the cool stuff we're putting together. Because I think that's the key here is we want to really have like an elevated experience. So people are talking about the experience, the movie, the, brands associated and how we're doing something different in the independent film space, which is, I think, what needs to happen to, stand out these days. So that's what we're going for. Innovative.
And you can follow me at DL Daggerman, and you can follow us at Two Hands Productions with a 2 on Instagram and Two Hands Productions spelled out on YouTube. Please follow us on YouTube. We're starting to get
and the
traction
trailer
there on the trailer.
Yeah, the trailer's out too. We'll send you
send
you the link for the trailer. It has over 100,000 views.
Yeah. Woo, yeah. The trailers are great. And the first time I talked to him, I was like, man, you picked a hot actress to be the I was like, who is she? I want to know her. Like, she's in LA
I know,
somewhere.
I'm like fangirling, right? I'm like sweating.
Thank you both for being on today.
Thank you so much. And thank you for making this film. Honestly, I think that, there's not enough that's being talked about in our space. And I think that there's a lot of people that are kind of hiding behind masks, right? So for y'all to put this out there in the world, for people to have these conversations with their partners and other people is incredibly important. Mm-hmm. And we're so honored that you guys were able to come today. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, quick timeout, safe word, like and subscribe. If you're liking the content and you want to see more stuff like this, hit the like and subscribe button below. And we promise we'll keep bringing spicy, sexy content your way. Well, that was fun.
I'm literally sweating. I was so nervous.
Because the actress was here.
Well, yeah, first of all.
You spent a lot of the film asking me how hot I thought she was.
I was so obsessed. I'm just obsessed with her.
And then we were like, hair up or hair down?
We were like, when she put her hair up, I was like, oh my God, I see her whole face. She's so beautiful. But also, like, I think what they've made is so beautiful and so important. And I wanted to make sure that we honored that. Because we can get a little crass in here. We can kind of get off topic. Like, I really wanted to make sure that we were honoring the art that they have made. Right. And I hope we did a good job.
I think we did. And I also think that yesterday when we watched it, we're like, hey, is this for us? Is this for people that have swung a bunch of times and gone to play parties? Or is this for couples that are just getting into this? And I think everyone, whether you're a full-on swinger or you're thinking about it, you can relate to like the first time and how awkward it was. And because it is fun and it's so fucking awkward. But that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah.
I didn't say this when they were there, but last night after we watched this, you went to bed in our guest room and my wife and I started playing. And while we were playing, we were like joking about the movie while we were having sex.
Stop.
It was like, oh, I bet you wish that girl was here today, huh? Like, it was just kind of going back and forth on it.
It kind of put y'all back in the space of going back to the beginning, which is fun and hot and exciting.
Like, do you remember the first time? Were we like that? Like, kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, even in our own relationship, watching the film made us play a little bit differently. And so that was fun.
You guys should have been louder. I couldn't hear anything.
You know, I was trying to be quiet because you're taking a break. We were both taking breaks, and I knew you were in the other room. Layla, look at you.
I could have touched myself.
We just watched the Play movie together. You're in the other room looking like this.
I'm wearing like my big t-shirt. I was like so unsexy yesterday. I wore no makeup. I was like, okay, I'm not going to put off any sexual energy.
You succeeded. You succeeded.
No, after the movie. Okay, so when the movie was over, it was so I was so like on edge on and off throughout the film with the awkwardness, and then it was good again, and then it was bad, and then it was good, and it was such a roller coaster that I was like, I need weed and I need desserts. So I ordered weed, it got delivered, and then I ordered $64 worth of desserts.
You did.
And I was like, I gotta stress eat, and we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like it really opened a lot. Like we talked till like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
About this.
I think people should watch it.
Oh my gosh. Whether you're interested in the lifestyle or not, I think it's an important film to watch because it is about communication. It's more than just having sex with someone else.
I'm laughing because you're one of the hottest people I know.
Oh my God.
But watching
Don't look at me.
watching you order 4 pastries was like, definitely not tonight.
It's not happening tonight.
Like,
No.
I don't know what you're going to do, but
I'm
not
full
tonight.
of cheesecake. Like it's not happening. I made it.
Tonight is a watch a movie and debrief type of night.
It was perfect.
Anyway, I hope that there are more films like this. Like it's something different, and I hope it normalizes it. Because it is a normal thing. I mean, he said it so great. Like everyone has thought about this at some point. So let's just all be honest that we've thought about this and stop being so weird about it.
Yeah. Grow up, you guys.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Layla, you're always awesome.
Love you.
Look, I can still touch you.
Look, we're touching.
That's
it's
not
okay.
cheating.
That's not we haven't broken a boundary. You guys stop yelling at me.
Thanks for joining us today and for hopping in on another episode of the Mass Swingers podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll keep sending more content your way. Until we see you next time, try something or try someone new.